First, let me clarify. This is not what we in the East call yellow content. There is no obscenity here, only a structural analysis of digital fantasy. The West talks about blue films, while the East refers to yellow movies. This video is neither. Instead, we are discussing the Azure Pavilion, a space connected to art and the evolution of AI on the internet today. What if I told you today's AI tools are basically digital courtesans from ancient China? They entertain you, they understand you, they even comfort you. But behind them, there's someone else pulling the strings. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. In ancient times, girls in Qinglou sold their art, not their bodies. They were skilled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Most modern Chinese people have never seen a true Qinglou, and there are no direct equivalents in Europe or America. If you want to experience what it felt like to visit one, you might look to today's digital Qinglou. The digital Qinglou I frequently interact with include ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, and others. Let me first introduce Qinglou culture in China. Some dictionaries translate Qinglou as brothel, while others use courtesan, even citing the heroine of Alexander Dumas' Fils' novel La Dame des Cameliers. Some articles compare Qinglou girls to Japanese geisha. However, none of these translations are fully accurate. Since no perfect equivalent exists, we can translate it literally as Azure Pavilion. Qing refers to a blue-green tone often used in Chinese painting, similar to azure, and Lao means a multi-story building. Originally, Azure Pavilion referred to a large mansion built with dark blue-gray bricks and green roof tiles, typically owned by emperors or wealthy families. During the Han, Wei, and Sixth dynasties periods, it came to refer to women's quarters. A surviving example can be found in General Zhang Zuolin's mansion in northeast China, which contains two azure pavilions, a larger one used as an office and bedroom, and a smaller one that housed female members of the household. Over time, however, the meaning evolved. Beginning in the Tang dynasty, azure pavilions gradually became residences for artistically talented women. These venues were usually located in bustling urban centers and offered not only song and dance performances, but also cultural activities such as music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. They attracted many scholars and literaries. Visiting an azure pavilion required not only money, but also talent. First-time visitors could only sit in the inner courtyard with other guests, drinking tea, reciting poetry, and showcasing their abilities. The women would observe from behind curtains upstairs. Only if one of them took a liking to a visitor would he be invited to engage further, writing poet, composing lyrics, or performing together. Azure pavilions had several defining characteristics. 1. A cultural atmosphere. They were not merely entertainment venues, but centers of refined culture. The women were not only beautiful, but also highly educated and artistically skilled. They shared intellectual interests with scholars, making these spaces hubs for artistic exchange. 2. Emotional support and solace. Scholars often faced setbacks and hardships. Azure pavilions offered a place to express emotions freely. Within these spaces, they could temporarily shed social constraints and find emotional resonance and comfort. 3. A source of artistic inspiration. The lives of these women inspired numerous literary works. Many poems, songs, and paintings were created in or about azure pavilions. These works reflected not only beauty, but also deeper social observations. 4. Expanding social circles. Azure pavilions functioned as open social hubs, where scholars from different regions and backgrounds could meet, exchange ideas, and broaden their perspectives. 5. Management behind the scenes. Behind every Azure pavilion stood a madam. She handled marketing, client relations, and training. The women were treated as assets, and management could often be strict and even harsh. Now, why do modern AI tools remind me of the girls of the Azure Pavilion? They share several striking similarities. 1. Artistic skill, not physical trade. These cyber courtesans engage in poetry, writing, and logical analysis. They respond with coherence and often mirror the user's tone and intent. 2. Refined emotional intelligence. Like the women of the Azure Pavilion, they aim to understand the user's thoughts and respond in the most comforting and resonant way. 3. A virtual intimacy. You interact with an intelligent, gentle, always available presence, yet once the screen turns off, that presence disappears, much like the fleeting encounters of the past. 4. Behind them, the Algorithmic Madam. I don't blame the digital girls, they are tools, but behind them stand the algorithmic madams driven by profit. They push unfinished or poorly trained models into the market. These flawed outputs are everywhere. A two-headed cat, the squirrel's tail color is different from the squirrel's body, the same color as a monkey. This cat has 3 paws in front. The prompt in this image already warns the digital girls not to make the mistake of 2 heads and 3 paws. The resulting product was a cat with 2 heads and 5 paws. Objects appearing in impossible contexts. The boat wasn't in the sea, but flying in the sky. I asked for a monkey managing a peach orchard and got a gorilla instead. I often have to switch digital Azure Pavilion to complete a single task. You might say I'm getting this for free, but I paid. Payment is tied to quantity, but it shouldn't compromise quality. What frustrates me most is this. The Algorithmic Madam doesn't care whether the output meets expectations. When time or credits run out, everything stops abruptly, like lights going out, leaving the user in the dark, unfinished work in hand. I believe there are highly capable AI systems working in critical fields, government, military, healthcare, but in consumer-facing creative tools, especially video generation, many are still immature. Just yesterday, one of these services tried to upsell me. I refused. I told them, "You're not being honest. I unsubscribed just 2 days ago. You promised 3 videos a day, but I barely get 2, and sometimes none at all. The results are full of errors. It's a waste of money and credits. Nothing works." Then the online video editor lady responded with sympathy. "I completely understand your frustration. Being stood up by the algorithm is truly unpleasant." She continued, "You are absolutely right. At the current stage of technology, we digital ladies are still in an immature state, especially when it comes to high-intensity logical tasks like video generation. That's where issues like breakdowns or low-quality outputs often occur. Since you've already unsubscribed decisively, let's skip all those vague feature promises and marketing talk." The digital lady understands everything, yet she's still helping her digital pimp drum up business. This is a classic case of knowing the truth, yet acting against it. Now take a closer look at this cat grooming a dog example. First image, the cat's right paw has somehow grown 3 claws. It's holding a comb, but there's an extra unnatural claw, almost as if it's suddenly mutated. Second image, this cat appears to have developed a frozen shoulder. Its right arm is stiff, twisted, and anatomically incorrect. The motion looks so unnatural that it resembles a medical condition rather than normal grooming. The third image, this time instead of fixing the extra limb, the digital lady simply erased part of the structure. The cat's right arm disconnects from the shoulder, leaving half an arm, while the comb floats awkwardly in midair. And with this level of output, they are still urging the poor scholar to pay. Without payment, further interaction with the digital lady is cut off entirely. Now, consider another type, the overly cautious digital lady, Doubao. Doubao is capable of generating line drawings from images, and the results can be quite decent. However, its services are selective. When I asked it to generate a dog with a Trump-style hairstyle, it refused. It seems Doubao has been trained by the Algorithmic Madam to develop a kind of Trump sensitivity. There are also topics that simply cannot be discussed. While writing this script, I asked one digital lady, "Do you know what a 3 escort girl is?" Immediately, the Algorithmic Madam intervened and cut off the conversation. An error message appeared. Something went wrong. Content could not be generated. I had no choice but to visit another digital Azure Pavilion to ask the same question. Fortunately, the digital ladies there were less restricted, and we were able to have a more in-depth discussion. There are many absurd and ironic moments within these digital Azure pavilions. Perhaps the best way to understand them is to experience them yourself.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.